Hi, I'm Ernie Cavett.
I'm Linda Cavett. We paddleboard fish. He builds custom fishing rods, and our whole family loves to fish. About the same as like an Ahab. Super stable though, super quiet. Super quiet. You can stand like with 2 feet on this, on one rail, and not flip over, which is pretty nice. So I think it'll open up the, a lot of possibility for a lot of people that have never tried paddleboarding because it is so stable. So I'd be more open to taking people on, paddleboard charters. It's hard when, it's like somebody who just wants to do paddleboard fishing. It's not something you can just jump on a board and go do. You kind of have to, know a little bit how to fish, a little bit how to paddleboard, and then put it all together. With this, you can this is really like a small skiff. You can just kind of get on there and do it. So. Alright, I'm going to put these in here. Well, that's the front actually, so you can mount the motor back there. You can mount a bottom machine, like, because there's just gear tracking everywhere, so you can just like slide tracks. You can just rig it however you want, which like on most paddleboards you can't do that because there's no way to. So that's one thing I miss about not having a kayak was all the fun rigging that you get to do. But on this thing it's like so many possibilities. Started stand-up paddleboard fishing a few years ago. Tried it a few times, liked it, and then I injured my back, not from paddleboard fishing, but that's how I kind of got into it. Needed another way to fish, not sitting down, so I started experimenting with paddleboards, and we fell in love with it. Our whole family does it, both our kids. So it's just something that we as a family have just kind of embraced, and we just love it. We kind of like want, to help other people, I guess, do it.
Yeah, I've been kayak fishing forever. 91. I had one of the first ocean kayaks delivered to Florida. I had the only place carrying them was in Estero, Florida, and I just this is a perfect fishing machine. catching kings and cobias, and just push the sport as hard as I could in Pensacola, and made a lot of friends get them, so I wouldn't be the only one, and enjoyed it ever since. Tournament fishing, just trying to break new ground, and that's where paddleboard fishing came in, mainly for the sight fishing side of it, and just the whole difference, the workout, and the just the visibility that you get, unlike you get for kayaks, and the maneuverability. I mean, there's a lot of kayaks coming out with that has stand-up capability, but it's a minimalist type thing. You don't want to overweight your board. You know, you're only 5 inches, 6 inches thick of foam and glass, so just bring as little as possible, and you learn that over the years. You target your quarry, bring what you need. That was probably the longest cast I ever done on a redfish, but that's the advantage of all these sand. Jump on a board and go.
And we have
Simple.
we have awesome sight fishing in Panama City and this area. We're very blessed to live where we do. We've lived here for about 6 years now, and we've only scratched the surface of places that we've, discovered. We're always, going to new places and fishing new areas, but really our heart is sight fishing, whether it's, cobia in the spring, but, on the flats, for redfish we both love to do. And you can have all the gear, all the tackle, the most expensive stuff, but if you don't have good quality sunglasses, you're not going to see the fish. I mean, you might see it swimming away, but you're not going to get that shot that you want. So we definitely care and take pride in the sunglasses that we use. We both wear Salt Life polarized sunglasses, and I definitely, if you've never tried them, if you stick to something that you've tried your whole life, you're used to fishing with your whole life, and things change. Technology changes, and I would suggest being open to new things and trying different things. And so we're out here with kayaks and stand-up paddleboards and fishing for redfish and trout. Caught some trout, a few redfish. Basically, it's got kind of windy, so I just decided to anchor up, and I looked for, if you look over there, you can kind of see where the water gets funneled out, because it's outgoing now, so everything has to go through there. So there was redfish kind of just staked out right on the outside. They probably got pushed out. So I threw a little gold spoon, looks like that, a little tsunami, weedless, and this guy decided he was hungry, he was gonna eat it, and that's it. So, pretty fish.
Yeah, when I'm sight fishing for redfish, my eyes are glued to the water, just trying to pick up anything out of the ordinary, movement, and color change, contrast. Tail, of course, is a dead giveaway. You can see the tails and all, but get in the depth that you're comfortable looking in, and it's going to be around 3 foot, or less.
And definitely slow down. I mean, a lot of times you speed over a flat, and then you've scared every fish out there.
Only go as fast as you're comfortable being able to see a fish. Once you see your first few fish, you'll dial in, and you'll know even the next trip. Just I've got to slow down. It's choppy. There's a little too much glare looking this way, and try to set yourself up to look at a shore with least glare, and that's going to be a tree line, away from the sunrise, and you'll figure it out. You just come here, Bubba. little 1000 reel, 6-pound braid. Sight fish down the hole. Turtle grass is still really big. They disappear. Sight fishing from a paddleboard it's not as productive as probably being on the poling platform of a skiff. I mean, you're really only a foot off the water at the most, so you're going to be seeing these fish only like 20-30 feet out. That's your average sight, you know, unless you got just perfect conditions. So we're throwing light stuff. Why throw something heavy that's going to splash and spook the fish? When you're making short casts, you can do a closer in presentation. You know, a lot of times I can throw a couple feet from the fish, especially if they're tailing, you know.
Hi, this is Rick from Howell Tackle Supply. Come by and see us to get ready for summer fishing. Live bait, rods, reels, and all the tackle you need. Make Howell Tackle Supply the last stop before you get to the water. We have the latest and greatest, plus all the tried and true fishing gear you've always used. From ice to the latest from Guy Harvey, Costa Del Mar. Howell Tackle Supply has just what you need. Open early Monday through Saturday, closed on Sundays. 3100 West Highway 98, Panama City, Florida. Howell Tackle Supply.
The Panama City Marina and St. Andrews Marina are your one-stop shop for anything that you need on the water. You can come in and get ethanol-free Valtech fuel, live and frozen bait, ice, snacks, and your favorite beverages are just a few reasons we're a Bay County boater's favorite on-the-water store. Tired of the stress of a boat ramp? Whether it's covered, uncovered, or on a lift, we've got slips to fit your needs. Stop in our store at 1 Harrison Avenue in Panama City or call 872-7272.
Before you could start catching fish from a stand-up paddleboard, you should master some fundamentals of stand-up paddleboarding itself. So let's check in with Visit Panama City Beach.
Wow, he's a pro.
Today, I'm going to walk you through very simple steps of how to get you started stand-up paddleboarding while you're here on vacation in Panama City Beach. All right, now that you got your board on the beach, from if you just recently purchased it or rented it from one of the many surf shops and paddleboard shops all along Panama City Beach, you're ready to get going paddleboarding. First quick tip, find the center and balance point of your board. Usually on every paddleboard, it is the handle and how you carried it down here. That's usually the balance point. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have Chloe demonstrate here on land a couple of techniques on how to get you started to get right out in the water, stand up quickly, and have fun. All right, your paddle has a curvature to it here like this. This is basically called the catch. A lot of people, when they jump in the water, they want to hold it and paddle this way. You need to hold it where the curvature is coming towards you. I'm gonna have Chloe jump on the board on her knees right over the black handle here. Next, what you're gonna do is start paddling out into the Gulf, always pointing the nose of the board out into the waves. And once you get past the waves or you feel comfortable to stand up, the next thing you want to do is drop your paddle down on the board and do quick transition from your knees to your feet. Then you're ready to start paddling. You always want to start off with your dominant hand up top. In this case, Chloe's is right. And what you're going to do is basically put the blade of the paddle forward towards the board. Go ahead and jump it down like you're in the water. You want to bend your knees slightly. And you want to bring the paddle towards you with your hips thrusting a little bit forward. You don't want to go past your thighs too much or your heels too much. And what you want to do now is when you switch, you just want to trade your hands positions when you come to the other side. And repeat. Always wanting to keep your knees bent so you're absorbing the waves because you are standing on liquid, and keeping your head up where you want to go. You never want to look down. Once you look down, you're going to fall down. A lot of misconceptions about stand-up paddleboarding. People think it's just a longer surfboard and you can actually stand on it like a surfboard. Not necessarily. The reason why we stand shoulders square to the nose as opposed to feet in line with one shoulder to the nose is because you're propelling yourself with a paddle. Whereas surfing, you're actually getting propelled by the wave, so you need to have your balance here. If you were to stand up on a surfboard like this and get propelled, you're going to go back and fly forward. But here, you're propelling yourself with a paddle. It's just easier balance, and you're squared up to where you want to go. And that's your basics of paddleboarding.
Sunjammers and Hobie Mirage kayaks set the standard for on-the-water fun. Whether your passion is fishing, sailing, or recreational adventures, Hobie has a kayak for you. Hobie's Mirage Drive mimics nature's proven designs for effective, powerful propulsion to enhance your kayaking experience. Mirage Power, Mirage Performance, Mirage Drive. Hobie, enjoy the ride. Hobie kayaks are available at Sunjammers Water Sports in Panama City Beach.
Panama City living is simply better without glasses. The Eye Center of North Florida offers the most advanced surgeries, including lifestyle lens implants for cataract patients and custom view blade-free LASIK. Both procedures leave you with clear vision, and in most cases, glasses-free. The Eye Center of North Florida.
9 doctors, 1 vision, yours.
If you like kayaking and you like fishing, why not combine the two? Kayak fishing is one of the fastest growing sports, and Panama City Beach offers more kayak fishing options than virtually any place I know in Florida. Whether you like flats fishing for trout and redfish, or you want to do something a little more exotic and unique, you can launch off some just sugar white sand beaches at Panama City Beach, and within half a mile, you're out over 60 feet of water over beautiful coral heads for big grouper, red snapper, flounder, so many more species that you'll never find anywhere so easily out of a kayak.
Yeah, so we've got red snapper, grouper, and redfish.
And fishing shallow grass flats is basically light tackle fishing. And that means, in my case, a 7-foot lightweight graphite rod is the easiest. They're the most sensitive, they cast easier, they're comfortable to fish because they are lightweight. 10-pound braid, and when I say braid, it means it feels like thread, is very adequate for virtually anything you're going to catch out here. The fish out here tend not to have big nasty teeth on them, so you can easily get away with a 20-pound leader. If the water's real clear, I prefer fluorocarbon because it is theoretically invisible in the water, although I don't think that's really the case, but it can't hurt, and it is a little more abrasion resistant if the fish run into some sharper structure. Save you a little bit of money here. You don't need any hardware. In other words, you don't need any snaps, swivels, any of that stuff. You're going to catch more fish if you learn to tie a line-to-line loop knot. Leave out the swivel. You want to tie your lures on with a loop knot. The reason for that is it gives them a lot more lifelike movement, especially on the smaller soft plastic lures. And when I say loop knot, I just mean a small loop like that that won't slide down. It's real easy to tie, and I'll show you that in a minute here. But the reason for that is when I twitch any lure, if I tie that down real tight with a hard uni knot or clinch knot, those are good knots, they won't break. But when I twitch it forward, all it does is come straight forward. Whereas if I tie it on with a loop knot, it has a lot more lateral movement. It just looks a lot more natural in the water. All you do is take your leader material and run about 2 inches through the eye of the hook. I'm sorry, pinch it off right there. Form a Mickey Mouse ear and form a second Mickey Mouse ear, just like that. Run the second one through the first one and then just pinch it off. At this point, you take that tag in, run it through that second ear, grab the end of it, fold it down, and lock it in place wherever you want that loop knot to form. Tighten it up with this running line, and basically you're done right there. Nice thing, I wet it down before I give it the final tightening, and then I trim it off. And by the way, if you want a good pair of clippers, these little boomerangs are so hard to beat. They clip braid, they clip fluorocarbon, and they just almost indestructible. Cut everything very clean, and they're not expensive. Anyway, that little knot doesn't slip. As you can see, it was real quick to tie, but that just leaves me a lot more flexibility when I twitch any lure. It acts a lot more lifelike, and I think fish appreciate that. Look what I found. I think this is the biggest one we've ever caught here. sure the bigger ones have been caught, but it's a nice fish up in 2 feet of water. Got her on Mike Hackla's new sardine spoon. On Mike Hackla's rod with my new Okuma reel that I'm just trying out. Took me for a nice little ride this morning. Actually, she drugged me halfway back to Cheryl's truck when we saw Cheryl's truck finally pull up with the donuts. Good way to start the day. Nice, pretty bronze fish. Beautiful tail. Usually these big ones don't have that dark blue on there yet. She's almost black at the tail. This gorgeous fish out here. Much better start than yesterday, Cheryl. A couple of these, 3 reds, just getting started. I like it when you put me on fish. Cute little trout up in about 8 inches of water. On a school of pilchards over there. Just a little slot size fishy. But they're all fun on top waters. Especially when they won't eat Cheryl's bait and they eat my top water. That makes them really special. When I'm sliding offshore with a kayak, obviously you have to beef things up a little bit. Instead of this little 6-pound rod here, you might want to go up to a 10 to 20 pound rod. Instead of having 8 to 10 pound braid, you're going to probably want to go up to something closer to 20 or 30 depending on what you're doing. Other than that, the same concepts apply. I will probably go to a 40-pound leader. I'll tie it on the same way. I'll probably make it a little bit longer. I'll probably go to 4 or 5 feet on it. Depending on whether I'm bottom fishing or whatever. And there's nothing more exciting, believe me, than catching big game fish out of a kayak. For more information on events and activities in the area, go to visitpanamacitybeach.com.
The Captain Anderson makes fishing a breeze. There's a galley on board and your comfortable trip is all-inclusive. Rod, reel, tackle, bait, and your fishing license. The traditional all-day trip from 7 to 5 p.m. Come aboard the Captain Anderson for a relaxing day of bottom fishing. There's plenty of room, so bring the whole family. It's a whopping big adventure, and that's no fishtail. The Captain Anderson is located at Captain Anderson's Marina, where the fish are always biting and the kids are always smiling. Please call for cruise schedules.
Hello, I'm Ronnie Groom, owner of C&G Sporting Goods. Everyone knows in this part of the country that C&G has the largest selection of quality camouflage clothing. But did you know we also carry a large supply of casual wear? That's right, we carry all kinds of clothes for men and women, from brands such as Browning, Hunt Life, Abo, Drake, and of course, Duck Commander. So come on downtown to C&G Sporting Goods, your outdoor connection to the great outdoors for over 65 years.
This is one of our new baits. It's actually designed somewhat after some of the bass style lures. And when I first got it, a gentleman, his name's Paul Stark, who designs a lot of baits and works with a lot of the Bass Pro guys, we had talked about making a swim type lure where they're very popular. And this thing did have a hole through the eyeball and the insert went way forward, which meant I couldn't really fish it with a jig head at all. And I really, this is salt water. I like to fish a jig head, so I set it up where I could fish it with a screw lock. However, I can stick a jig head and there's plenty of meat in it before it gets to the insert that creates this cavity here. It's got the slot in the top like many of the weedless style baits do, so this hook point can lay right down there and I don't have to stick it back into the plastic and fish it through this heavy thick grass. And today when we were fishing, we found our fish in these mats of almost floating, I don't even know what that stuff is called, but it's just almost like moss that's just floating. It seems like these fish were a little bit comfortable in it. And with something like this tail is designed to have a very hard beat to it. So it puts out that pulse which can draw that redfish in, and it seemed to work. And it's got a lot of mass, it's got a lot of plastic in it, which allows me to cast it very well, get good distance casting. So to be able to throw something weedless where and get good distance casting, I'm going to be a happy boy.
Hi, I'm Captain Stan Jones with the Panama City Marina. This is your Bay County Outdoors Fishing Report. Well, fall is in the air and the water temp is dropping, and that has really got the fish into their winter pattern. The big thing to find right now is bait fish. All summer long you've been fishing for trout and the reds in the shallows, but right now what you need to find are the bait fish. They're starting to school up tight, and those reds and trout are killing them. You can look for them along grass lines and also ledges, and that's the natural pattern of the bait fish. And also look for birds. If you can find the birds, you found the bait fish, then you found the sport fish you're going after. You know I'm always into the shad tails, but this time of the year, if you can find the bait fish that are being crushed by the redfish, you can't beat a gold spoon. Right now the flounder fishing is awesome. The flounder are stacked up around structure and around marinas and fattening up for the move offshore. They move offshore this time of the year to breed, and when they're offshore you can find them around structure, around the wrecks and whatnot. This time of year, my favorite lure, or my go-to lure, is going to be a 1/4 ounce jig head with a white jerk bait or a white paddle tail. I'll throw it out and I want to fish around structure, which could be grass lines where sand and grass meet, any ledges, around dock pilings, or any structure at all. This is where you're going to find the flounder. For your latest fishing report, go to BayCountyOutdoors.com, and don't forget to like us on Facebook.